Hi, this is Jason Nagy with RE/MAX Premier Realty. And today on the Agent Playbook, we're going to actually be talking about the top 10 habits, traits, and systems of the top agents in the industry. I've had the privilege of working alongside, coaching, and watching many of today's top agents and how they're successful. And in talking with our own agents here at RE/MAX Premier Realty, one of the things that came back just from the recent Reimagine conference here that CAR put on was this. Gosh, that person was on stage, they were talking, but I don't know how I could apply that to me or what I'm doing today. And I think one of the things that's really important when you're talking about creating that business that's sustainable and becoming truly a multi-million-dollar agent is what are the systems, what are the habits, and what are the traits? Because those types of things can be implemented in any market across the nation. Doesn't matter, so you can take the environment out of the equation when you put these things in place. So I want to really start with some of the common things that are the traits of the best in our industry. And I know that whether you've listened to Tom Ferry or Brian Buffini or many of the other coaches that are out there, one of the things that a lot of people talk about is your why. And it's kind of cliche when you think about, oh, what's your why? But the reality is when you sit down and you talk with the most driven agents, the top producing agents in our industry, they have a very, very internal drive that is not needing motivation from an external source. And they're very, very clear on what that why is. And it's never the money itself. It's never the number of transactions. It's always what can that money do for my family, do for my future. I mean, I was sitting down with one of the top agents I was working with, and this was when I was actually in the San Diego market, and she looked at me clear as day and she's like, I'm going to buy my daughter a house. That's my why. That's my goal. And again, it's different for everyone, but there's very clear veins that all of the top agents have, and having an internal drive or an internal why is very important. So what are some of the top traits that top agents have? Number one, they're always learning. Every top agent in the industry is always looking at what's working for other agents, what's next, whether it's AI and using artificial intelligence, doing things with technology, or just the old school belly to belly, face to face. They're always learning and always looking for that competitive advantage to re-systematize, retool their business, and go to the next level. Another trait that top agents have is they're always looking very big picture. They're never micro-granular on a singular transaction or a singular moment or interaction in their business. They look very holistically at the entirety of where their business is going, and they work backwards from what they want their business to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, versus just the day-to-day, I just got to get that first transaction. I'm looking for my next deal. Very, very different way of thinking that the top agents in our industry have. The next thing that they do that is imperative, if you want to be a top agent in this industry, you have to learn to delegate, you have to learn to leverage, and you have to learn to prioritize. So many times I see agents in our business, they want to hold on to it. Like, no one can do it better than me. Or I do it this way and it has to be my way. And they just won't let go. And every agent has a natural bandwidth of productivity of what they can do within that 24-hour period of their life. So the top agents understand how to set the vision, share the vision, coach and educate their team, and actually delegate, leverage, and let go of responsibilities. They also focus on the responsibilities solely that are going to help them grow their business, generate revenue, and anything that's not revenue generating for them or building their brand or what they're doing in their relationships, they're delegating those responsibilities. And that is a trait that runs through every single top agent I've ever worked with, coached, met with, or watched in our market. The next thing that is really imperative is top agents, they take risks. They invest in their business. They spend money. If you look at spend money, invest money, if you look at the top agents in the industry, I don't want to use the word pay to play because it just sounds like, gosh, that's so closed off, but it really is. I mean, they're spending, whether they're doing pay-per-clicks or they're doing print ads or they're doing client appreciation parties or client appreciation events, the top agents are spending and investing a tremendous amount of resources back into their business. Some of the top agents I've talked to that do $1 million in GCI, gross commission income, they're spending, 30% of that, $300,000 a year back into their business, if not more. So something that you have to learn too is, so when you're starting out and you're just going from transaction to transaction, make sure that you understand, I need to set aside and reinvest in my business, educating myself, marketing myself, branding myself. Again, the top agents are always redefining, they're experimenting, they're trying new things, they're seeing what's working, what's not working, and that goes all the way down to messaging. Like, is this message resonating with the clients that I want to connect with? Is this the right approach? Is this the right thing to say, or how am I saying it? So they're always experimenting, always seeing what's going to land on the consumer so that I can generate more revenue and more business. Very, very important. The next thing, and it's a word we don't really like in our industry because we're entrepreneurs, we're free-spirited, but all of the top agents have accountability. They have coaches, they have people holding them accountable. They're very clear in what they're doing. The last thing and the most important thing that top agents do right now is they adapt early to market changes. So when you're in the business and you're immersed in it, you can feel market movement and market trends like what we're currently experiencing right now here in Q4 of 2024. There's a major shift in what's happening in the market right now. We're seeing an increase in days on market, an increase in months of inventory. The number of offers has significantly diminished unless it's priced really well. So all of these things we're watching and looking for, and the top agents are always adapting early. What are the top habits of the top agents that we see? They're scheduled and they time block. So we just talked about the traits, right? The top 10 traits that agents have, the top 10 habits that the best agents in the industry have. They keep a schedule and they time block, right? So a lot of times, agents will be like, oh, they close their door, or they're not very friendly, or they're not collaborative with the office. And some of that may be true. With that said, the reality is that top agents in our industry are significantly disciplined, and they time block and they say, no, I've got to set time aside to generate, contact my clients, contact and follow up with the prospects that I'm working with, and really make sure. They have a habit of coming from abundance, right? So the next one is they have an abundant mindset. They're like, hey, there's enough to go around. Like, look, we've got deals happening. So you have agents in the market like, oh my gosh, we're at, the number of transactions now versus 2021, 2022, it's significantly reduced, right? So year over year from 2023 to 2024, we've seen a slight uptick, but off of that flood that we had in 2021 with the 2% and 3% interest rates, the buying frenzy of the COVID pandemic, the market is significantly shifted off of that. Yet the top agents are still doing a tremendous number of deals, and they come from an abundant mindset. Like, look, deals are happening, and business generates more business. They only compete with themselves. Another habit is top agents aren't looking around to see like, oh, did I do more transactions than so-and-so? Am I number one in the office? Am I number one in the company? Yes, they like that. Yes, that's important on some levels. But the reality is the top agents in our industry are only competing with themselves. They're only checking against, am I doing my best? Am I pushing through my best? It was interesting. I watched a video yesterday with Nick Saban. He was talking about how being average is actually normal, right? So, and he used an analogy of a student getting an A on the midterm and then not studying as hard on the final and still getting a B in the class and being okay with it. Top agents really constantly compete and constantly push the level to get to their highest and best selves. Very, very important. A lot of top agents, this one's one of those kind of airy-fairy ones. It's like, really, am I gonna do this? And I had a hard time with it, to be really honest with you. I'm like, do I really want to do self-affirmations? Do I want to affirm myself? But that lends itself to that positive mindset of, look, how do I view myself and what am I projecting out into the marketplace, right? If you show up professionally, you show up prepared, you show up ready, you show up with that sense of self-assuredness and confidence, it's going to emulate to your clients, to your transactions, to the agents on the other side of your transactions, and really make a big difference in your business. This one is super critical, and it's hard for me as a person that wants to be off when I'm not working and then on when I'm working. The reality is the top agents in our industry mix personal and business. It's very, very hard to see that line between clients and friendships, and their clients are becoming their friends. The client appreciation parties, the way that they approach their business is a full immersion of their lifestyle to their business. And obviously in real estate especially, we're on 24/7. If someone wants to talk about selling their house or see a property, you've got to be there right in that moment for your clients. So there's a huge integration between personal and business. This one is also really key as far as the habit of top 10 agents. They're very, very unapologetic for their success. And they should be. You work hard, you stay focused, you stay disciplined, you build an incredible business. There is no reason in the world that you should apologize or be apologetic for your success. Secondly, they unabashedly ask for business. And I see it all the time. So many great agents that I'm like, gosh, why, what is that dial that we need to turn? And they're afraid to ask for the business. Top agents are absolutely, unequivocally unafraid to ask for you to choose them, use them, work with them, support them, give them referrals. And it is very, very clear. Top agents ask for help. You know what? This is my goal for this year. Could you help me reach my goal and refer me to people? It's very, very clear. The last thing with regards to habits that's super important is they're very careful with who they spend their time with, what types of people they surround themselves with. What are they investing their time in? Very, very critical. Now, the last point, so we've talked about the traits, right? The traits that top agents exhibit, the habits that they exhibit. Now I want to talk about the systems and the reality that the top agents are systematized. So make no mistake about it, the top agents in our industry have a system, use a system, and continue to generate with that. Now, it doesn't matter what system you use or create, some of the keys to it are follow-up. The average client, consumer, home buyer, home seller thinks about selling, thinks about buying 6, 9, 12 months before they actually pull the trigger. So it's really, really important for you in your systemization to have incredible follow-up, incredible touch points on your clients. The other thing from a system perspective, they have very clear branding and they have a very clear message, and they are unwavering from that brand, from that message, from their scripting and talk tracks to the marketplace. The reason for this is it takes anywhere between 6, 8, 10 times, 10 visuals, 10 talks to really be embedded in someone's mind and for them to see the perception of you in a certain way. So just saying it once or just dropping a piece of mail, sending an email, doing a singular video, that doesn't really work and get it done when you're looking to create your brand, create your messaging. So the top agents have a very, very clear, very systematized brand when they're marketing themselves. They have very specific, and this one's key, very set and specific listing presentations, buyer broker presentations, and they know them and they've so internalized them that they're speaking really without even the slides. Now, 65%, it's actually closer to 70% now of business is referred business, right? So you sit down there with your clients and you're kind of winging it, for lack of a better word. Like, oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I can do this, I can do that. The top most professional agents in our business, while they do that, while they build rapport, while they have, the relationship skills, have very, very set visions, listing presentations of what they're going to bring to the table. They know and understand their value proposition. So the other thing that's really great is they have an incredible system for how they deploy their new listings or how they work with their buyers, from their marketing campaigns, their geofencing for their ads on their new listing, for whether it's print, digital, or reels with Instagram and Facebook, very clear systems that they're putting in place for their business and their listings. So the last thing that's really important here from a system, and it goes back to what we talked about with the top 10 habits, they have an incredible team in place, whether it's their transaction coordinator that's handling their paperwork, their marketing team and their marketing arm, escrow, mortgage, their title reps, their affiliates that they work with, their assistant buyer's agents. The top agents in the industry do not do everything themselves. They have a team that they delegate to at the highest level. So what I want you to take away from this, if you're looking to be a top agent in our industry and in our market, you can reach out to me and email me, message me. My number is 626-244-5000. I'd be happy to meet with you privately. Start with the end in mind. What is my business going to look like 5 years from now? What's it going to look like 7 years from now? What do I want it to be and build? And then work backwards from that to the point where you're sitting there today watching this video and you're like, what do I need to do today? And what action steps do I need to experience today so that I can reach that goal in year 1, year 3, year 5? And Tony Robbins said this, and so I don't take any credit for it. It was very powerful for me, though. It's most people overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in a decade. And that's what the mindset I want you to have is. A lot of times when we set goals and we set visions, especially going into 2025, what does that look like? We set these big goals, but then we don't actually ask ourselves, what's it going to take to hit that goal? Is that goal realistic? Am I willing to pay the price to hit that goal, whether that's time away from family, a financial investment in marketing? What does that look like to turn the dial to actually achieve those goals? So make sure that you really sit down and set those proper expectations for yourself, set a vision, and then execute daily on the habits, traits, and tasks that will get you to be a top agent. So that's it for this week's episode of the Agent Playbook, and look forward to having you with us for 2025.